so entirely much. Thank you all for your support on my last video where I spoke about basic combat training and all the comments, all the feedback, all the good stuff. I'm just loving the conversation that we have going on over there. I'll talk to you guys today about why I left my previous career or field to join the Army. And I want to also talk about my experience since being here in South Korea. Because this channel is new, a lot of you all don't know that prior to the Army, I used to work for Louis Vuitton. So my experience at Louis Vuitton was really amazing. I absolutely adored my clients. Like, my clients made my job each and every day. Like, I loved them so much. Did really well in like sales. I was like constantly in top sales, and I just really enjoyed working for the company. Obviously, there's pros and cons to working for any big conglomerate company or any business as a whole, but overall, I really enjoyed working at Louis Vuitton. Products that Louis Vuitton sells, handbags, all of the plethora of things, was really a cool experience. The product knowledge behind everything that went into doing that job. So I really said if anyone wants to work for Louis Vuitton, I would suggest it. Obviously, I work from home, so working in the store is probably a much different experience, but I loved it. Now, sales isn't for everyone, but if you're thinking about hopping on to Louis Vuitton, I would definitely suggest it. But what I will tell you is you will definitely have to be patient with the process. The hiring process can definitely be some obstacles there, but if you're interested in joining Louis Vuitton as a company and you have a very outgoing personality and you like sales, you like talking to people, you like selling high-end bags.
I worked in the fashion industry from 2011 to 2021.
Next, the main reason why I decided to leave the fashion industry, because my background is in fashion. With working in retail and the whole experience with like COVID-19 and things like that, there wasn't as much grounded stability in the fashion industry, especially because a lot of corporations were letting go of staff, core staff and people. I just really wanted something that was stable, consistent. And I think now in this day and age, we as millennials, we should always consider that. What is like, a job is always going to be there, but you have to do what's going to be best for you. Don't ever stay in a situation where you feel like not getting what you feel like is best for you out of the situation. Obviously, you're there to help the company, but you have to also consider yourself through it all. Take that gem and consider that when you're looking to move on to a next career. I'm not saying that switching a career is for everyone or you leaving the fashion industry. If you love the fashion industry, stay. But I wanted something that was a little bit more stable, and I wanted to try something. And then the other thing why I decided to leave Louis Vuitton is because at the time I was deciding if I wanted to stay with the Army or Louis Vuitton, and I was contracted with them for a certain time and period, but I wasn't hired on permanently quite yet with them. So that really made me kind of like be like, okay, should I commit to this? And what's crazy is the week that I got the offer for the Army to sign my contract is when Louis Vuitton hired me on. And I was there for months and months and months and months and months. And I performed like crazy. I feel like out of the two, I feel like I made a really good choice. But if I had to do Louis Vuitton all over again, it would be an absolute yes. Like, I love Louis Vuitton. So that was the main reason, was because I wanted to go back to school for my master's degree. So that was really important to me, and I wanted it to be like in the IT world. So now I'm able to do that, pay for my degree, and I wanted a more consistent schedule, because working in retail, that's a crazy schedule on its own. But I still, now that I'm in the Army, I still work kind of a crazy schedule. So I just have to manage my time. But the difference is they're paying for my school. So it makes a huge difference. Those were the two main reasons. If you guys have questions about Louis and just questions overall, just let me know. I just want to give you guys a small scope of like my background and what's going on and why I'm in the Army. That's pretty much it. My experience in South Korea. Child. Let's just take a moment of silence to talk about, because we gonna get into it. We are going to get into it. Let's just take this moment of silence. Okay, let's get into it. So, when it comes to South Korea, it's a love-hate relationship with me, okay, in South Korea. The reason being is because South Korea is absolutely beautiful. Some of the things that I really, really love about South Korea are the people and the culture. I think it's the coolest thing to learn about the Korean culture. I've learned so much. And by the way, I'm going to teach you guys something real quick. So, how you say hello in Korean, their alphabet is Hangul, by the way. But how you say hello is 안녕하세요. Like, they always extend the end of their, like, words. So it's 안녕하세요. I know I probably sound weird. That's how you say hello. And then you say thank you by saying 감사합니다. Let me say it one more time for you guys. 감사합니다. So I do that all the time when I get into like a cab, or if I talk to the Korean people. Always make sure I say thank you. Always make sure I say hello. But it's been really a cool experience. We work with katusas, which are Korean soldiers that have gone through like rigorous testing, that get like these exclusive jobs to work on base with us, and they can speak pretty good English. So they have to go through different steps to be able to get position as a katusa, because like you have the regular Korean army, which is called the Rock Army. Then you have katusas, which are the Korean soldiers that work alongside directly with U.S. Army soldiers. So it's a really cool experience to work with the katusas here. And you just learn so much about them. You learn about the culture. You just bond with them. It's just a really fun thing. Another thing that I really love about Korea, besides the people and the culture, are the fact that the travel. Like, I love being outdoors. There's so much stuff to do here outdoors. There is a lot of stuff to do here just in general. You know, there's a million places to eat. There's a lot of people here hiking out here. They have spas, sauna, but they have a lot of outdoor activities. Now, I have not been able to experience as much as I would have liked. So there's a few things that I see as, I guess, a con when coming to Korea, at least currently in this environment that we're in, with it being COVID and everything going on with that. Restrictions have been quite challenging. So being here in South Korea, they just recently backed out of the booster shot situation temporarily. I believe they suspended it for the booster shot and things like that. So you would have to show like your COVID vaccination card everywhere you go, and you would also have to get the booster shot. You don't have to get it, but essentially if you wanted to go anywhere off base, you would have to get it, which caused some issues with
starting today. They actually lifted the restrictions, and now we are able to go to Seoul, but that can always change at any moment's notice.
Us to roam freely. So even though there's a lot of things to do here, we're not able to really do them. So that's what's been the biggest challenge, I guess, about South Korea. And then obviously everything closes pretty early here. I really still enjoy...
Most restaurants and evening activities close at 10 to 11 p.m.
Here in South Korea, as of right now, situation being here in South Korea with everything going on with COVID. The thing that I don't like about Korea is specifically being in the Army. I know the Air Force people and some other branches are allowed to have cars, but we being in the Army, if you are at E6 and below, you are not allowed to have a car. The only time you're allowed to have a car if you're E7 to E9, and also if you have a family. So if you have a family of kids, a wife, all that good stuff, you're allotted to buy a car and have that. If you are not either one of those two, in those two categories, you are not allowed to have a car unless there's some type of waiver that's approved for you to get a car for special reasons. So how we all get around here, if we're E6 and below, is an electric scooter or like a mini, I guess, electric motorcycle person. You can have a bike And then you can also just walk or take a taxi. Taxis add up over time. So I ended up buying a bike when I first got here, and then I recently bought a scooter, you guys. I was over it. Like, I was like, it just clicked in my head one day, like, I'm over this. So I did like an impulsive buy, and I was like, okay, I'm buying my scooter. That is it. That is all. I'm not waiting anymore. That would be the most challenging thing because the weather is really all over the place here. It rains a lot. It just recently stopped snowing. And it just like is super windy. Like, when I tell you guys, the wind here is rough. It is rough. Like, I'll be riding my bike and I feel like literally I'm about to be like slammed over. Like, it's that harsh. And y'all know how I am. I like to be cute. Okay, can't be on the bike and falling over. That's not cute. That was another reason why I was like, I like Korea, but not having a car is a struggle. But I know y'all dealing with gas prices in the US, so we all have our struggle. So those are some of the things that can be pros and cons living here in South Korea. If you're in the Army, it might be a challenge. But if you're in the Air Force, other branch, you might get a car. You probably will get a car. They have a lot of freedom. Like the Air Force, they can have cars. They can live off base. We cannot live off base unless we have family, and that's pretty much it. That's the only time you're really living off base, if you have a family or like a special reason to. You just want to consider that if you choose South Korea and request it. Always just consider those things. Like, some people love that they can walk everywhere here. Me, I don't want to walk everywhere. I love walking. I love working out, but I want to have the choice to have my car and not to have it. So, hope that helps someone. Just wanted to drop those gems. So next up, I just want to talk about my experience with going on a little bit of travel here in South Korea. So recently I went to Sobaeksan Mountain, or National Park. I had so much fun. It was so exhausting. Like, my body hurt for literally 4 days straight. I'm not even kidding, 4 days straight. It's the third largest mountain in South Korea, and it's a constant uphill. It was very draining, but we did the hike for about 6 hours, like a little over 6 hours. And by the end of the day, by the time I got home, I had reached like close to 10, a little over 10 miles, but the hike was about 8.5, 9 miles. So it was rough, you guys. And I think what made it rough is because the mountain is so steep. Like, you're just going up the whole time, and there's rocks, there's snow, there's this, there's that, and you're like, are we gonna get? But I don't regret doing it. I love a challenge. I love going hiking and stuff like that. So it was a beautiful experience. Another thing, being in the Army overseas, I'm pretty sure they have it in the States too. It's called the BOSS program, Better Opportunity for Single Soldiers, where you can take trips that are discounted for single soldiers. They have trips to different areas around wherever you're located. And this is just in general for the Army. This is not just here in South Korea. So definitely look into the BOSS program if you ever are considering and you're just joining the Army, and you want to kind of explore around, but you don't feel as comfortable going somewhere by yourself, or you don't necessarily have as many friends, you know. But do both. Get experience with like your friends and go on some BOSS program trips. You get to meet new people. You get to learn new things, and you get to meet new people. So definitely check that out when you get to your first duty station. And if you're not in the Army, South Korea is beautiful. If you have no restrictions in your life and you're a good old faithful civilian, South Korea is a definite must-see and visit. I definitely would suggest it. They're really like advanced when it comes to technology. The malls here are absolutely beautiful. Like, a 4-star hotel in the States here would be considered like a 3-star or 2-star hotel here. So everything is like heightened in regards to luxury or innovation here. So that's been really cool to see. It's very clean here. The people are pretty, for the most part, most people are pretty kind. If you look different, like, people will look at you sometimes, they will, but you kind of just get used to it over time. For the most part, though, the Korean people are so nice, and are always like I would say like willing to help, especially if you're on base. Now, if you're off base, they might be less inclined because they don't speak English. So, and then another big thing here is like the train system. They have like the SRT, and I think it's KTX, I believe, the train. I have not been on the train since I've been here, but I will experience it before I leave. They have like a bullet train, but that's how people get around off base, because there's so many people that live here in South Korea, especially in Seoul. It is like one of the most condensed and overpopulated cities in the world. That's a small scope of my experience, but let's go ahead and get right into this video about my height. We're doing it, y'all.
75% there.
Yeah. Yeah. We are still going up. We are 2+ hours in. You thought wrong, sis. You thought that you were almost done and pretty much there, but you didn't realize that you still got a little ways to go, sis. Wow. Please be sure to like, subscribe, comment below, ask any questions that you guys have, anything about South Korea, any like slight questions that you guys have about Louis Vuitton or my experience just being in the army. I am here for you guys, and I'm just excited for things to come. Oh, by the way, here in South Korea, this is what they do. Like, instead of like how we do in the States, to be like, I hurt you, they do this here in South Korea. It just means like, I hurt you. Thank you guys for all of your support, and I cannot wait to see you guys on the next video. Bye!